Hello and happy National Donut Day. We're making donuts. I'm making donuts. I've never made donuts. I'm gonna make donuts. There's a bunch of recipes for donuts. I found one that is on the shorter end because most of them seem to take 3+ hours. And I know there's gonna be some rising times in there, so I don't think I have 3 hours of things I can do in between. So I've got one that promises to be a little bit shorter. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make donuts. I have a recipe up for Completely Delicious. And yeah, that's the plan. We're going to get started. And one of the first things I noticed here when I was reading through is I need a small saucepan. And my small saucepan was used for lunch to make noodles. So it's in the sink with a little bit of soap in it. So I actually have to start by cleaning that out. Rinsing and drying. So, step one, clean your small saucepan. Because it only needs 1 cup of milk. So I don't want to, we can't handle a big pan. I mean, you could do it in a big pan, but then it's got a ton of surface area and you're going to have more evaporation, and I don't want that. So, step one, clean your small saucepan and place it upon the stove. Now, we're not going to turn it on right away because I want to make sure I've got all of the things ready because we are baking, kind of. We're not actually baking. Donuts are kind of a baked good, but they're not baked. We're also not using a stand mixer, which this, of course, calls for. But we need the dry ingredients mixed so we can add our warmed milk and butter to them. So we don't do that first. We combine our dry ingredients over here first. So we're starting over here and we're assembling ingredients. The tower of flour, some butter, some sugar, I'm assuming. Some sugar, quite a bit of sugar. Oh, quite a bit of sugar. I knew there was going to be sugar in the glazes and toppings, but it also seems like there's quite a bit of sugar in the just main part. Eggs. Two and a quarter teaspoons of yeast, which is 1 packet of yeast. But I don't have packets of yeast. I have a little jar of yeast. So, to measure that out. Salt. Salt lives on the counter over there normally. And a bunch of oil for frying. Oh, milk. I did buy milk. So, milk, butter, flour, yeast, salt, sugar, egg, fry oil, which is the large jug that lives behind the regular cooking oils. Yeah, we should have plenty to do a fry up. That can just stay over here. Okay. Into the small saucepan goes the milk. I'm just going to run down the ingredients as we go. Make sure I've got everything right. That was 1 cup of milk. Correct? Correct. 1 cup of milk. We're going to need to clean that because we're going to need to scoop flour, I think, with that. And 1/3 of one of these, which is not one of the divisions that it likes to use. So if that's half, 1/3 is like there. We're going to ultimately need 2/3 of this, which is just a pain in the neck. But I'm just going to put that in the milk straight away. Unsalted butter. We're going to keep the rest of the butter handy because we're going to need it. The milk handy too because we're going to need that. That's going to start warming. But again, I want to get my dry stuff ready first. So the large mixing bowl . Now the flour, it's one of those recipes that it has the flour listed in cups. It also has the flour listed in grams, but it doesn't want me to add all of the flour. It's suggesting too much flour and like add more if you need it. But just hate that. So your gram measurement on flour is meaningless because we're not measuring it out like that. We're putting it in a pile and adding as needed until it's enough. So I'm using the 1/2 cup measure and I'm going to put in 2 cups of flour to start. It's right here so I don't spill. 1. That's 1 cup because this is our 1/2 cup measure. And that's 2 cups, which is half the total, but we might not need the full total. So to the flour. Two and a quarter teaspoons yeast. This is our 1/4 teaspoon, so we need 9 of these. One teaspoon. Two teaspoon and a 1/4. And then that can go back in the fridge because we won't need any more yeast. lid on the flour so I don't knock it around. Salt and sugar. The sugar is a 1/4 cup of sugar and only 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we're going to do the half teaspoon of salt first, and then the 1/4 cup sugar. My sugar started to harden up in the bottom here, so get that loosened up. And I'm sure the sugar is here to really wake up the yeast to make this go quick. Did I remember to unmute myself? I did. Sometimes I don't remember to hit the unmute button on that thing. Whisk this together. And we're going to use large whisk to whisk this together. Okay. And then we need to beat 2 eggs. Which are going to go in there at the same time as the milk mixture, so I want to have them ready to go as well. Let's get my bucket over here. Eggs. Which we will lightly beat with chopsticks, which I maintain is the best way to beat eggs, at least in small quantities like this. Like that. Okay. I think I'm going to need this scooper later, so we're not going to throw that scooper in yet, and so actually this one. Keep both of those handy. Eggs can go away. We don't need more eggs. Bucket can get tucked in the corner, although I might use that last egg for something stupid later. I have a stupid plan while these things are getting rizzed. Okay, let's slide over. Since our dry and our eggs are ready, we will slide over here and gently melt the butter into the milk. And we thankfully have a target temperature for this mixture. Also, I have the oven preheated to warm, which I put a cup of water in here just to see what it thinks warm is. And warm to this oven is a little too warm for proofing. It's about 120, so I guess we will turn it off. Yeah. It's just a little bit too warm. So I guess we will turn it off and have it residual. Ovens typically have a very hard time holding those low temperatures like that. They're just not designed for that. The coils are too big and put off too much heat, so they tend to cycle very quickly at those low temperatures. But they're well insulated as well, so you can get it up to about the temperature you want it to be, and then just keep the door closed, and it'll keep that heat inside pretty well for doing something like proofing a dough, which we're going to be doing twice. Those eggs in the bucket instead of just on top of the bucket. Oh, and then the fun part later is going to be the deep frying, because if you're not aware, and you should be, because donuts are delicious. Donuts are deep fried. You can't see the butter because the butter has migrated to the side with you. There's the butter block. So yeah, that's the plan. And then in between, since I'm going to have fry oil on hand, I was thinking I would do because donuts are fun, but donuts don't make a dinner. And I have some leftovers I want to use up, so I was thinking of making a fried grilled cheese sandwich, or rather a fried grilled pulled pork sandwich with that one egg, and like make just a sort of a, you know, we'll get that far. Isn't that one of the Elvis sandwiches, a deep fried sandwich? Just make it disgusting. The Monte Cristo, that's a deep fried sandwich. Batter fried sandwich. Wow, this site is one of the worst. Not using that recipe because that site was trying to fill in huge swaths of ads. Oh, actually, I might be having a connection issue, and that might be the reason. All of a sudden, I'm losing a lot of frames. Oh, we were doing good at the start. All of a sudden, I'm losing frames like crazy. Well, let's hope it levels off. I think that's gotten better. My little thing has gone green at least. We lost a nice round 1400 frames. Hi, Burly Earl. At the moment, what's going on is we just had a major internet blip. So it probably froze up on your end. But what I'm doing right now is I'm melting butter into milk so that we can make, because we're making donuts. I'm making donuts for Doughnut Day. I lost it stopped dropping frames at 1400. We lost 1400 frames over the course of a few seconds there. So the stream probably just seized for people watching. But welcome in. I've never made donuts before, so I'm making donuts. Oh, that doesn't sound good. This is already too warm, but I need to get that butter melted, so we're going to keep it warming. Melt butter. Fortunately, I'm all indoors, and since I stream in the afternoon, my time, I don't have any direct sun coming through the windows that are right there. You can see my window right there. So in the afternoon, if I was doing this in the front, where I get afternoon sun, we might have heat issues. But otherwise, I'm pretty sheltered from it. I have done a few like breakfast morning things, and I get a lot of sun running through that window. So potentially on a hot day, that could do it. Yeah, I just got a grill. I was just given a free grill, and I've been trying to think how to set it up so that I can capture it, because I don't really have a good setup to run cameras out there to it. And then that also would be a consideration. If doing it in direct sun, the cameras are all black. Why do they put black casings on every single one of these things? So yeah. We don't want this to even bubble at all. We're just trying to melt it together. I think our little butter knob, I don't see it floating around in there anymore. So I'm going to take it off. We're going to take it completely off the heat. Slide it up here. And now what we're looking for is this to come down to about 110. And we are currently at, well, it's hot enough to steam, so it's definitely much too hot. 170, that's way too hot. Because if we go too hot, it'll kill the yeasts. So I need that to cool off. Also, if that's too hot, it will scramble the eggs. So it needs to come down now. Probably should have warmed it even slower on a lower setting, but An umbrella would be a good idea, actually. Just have some shade for the setup. I'll think about it. I have to think about that in general. My existing setup just kind of stays where it is, and I plug my computer into it. All the wires kind of converge on this spot, and then I just plunk my laptop in and hook everything up. If we go do grilling, everything's got to get uprooted and moved. So I want to give that a try, but I'm not sure if I have the logistical wherewithal to pull it off. That might be the impetus to get me to figure out how to stream from my phone, because I could plug the lapel mic here into the phone, and then I wouldn't have to haul my computer out, and I would just have to figure out how to set up one of the cameras. Or that might be the solution. I've never used my phone for streaming because I have the PC and it does all the stuff for me. But that might be the thing that gets me to figure that out. I've been told that I should take my phone and do streaming when I'm bargain hunting. I think that would be the most boring thing in the world. Because I'm not like stalking around, rummaging and finding things. I'm going to the place where the bargain is, looking in the thing, and if there's nothing there, I walk away. It's really boring. iPhones. See, I have an Android, so mine actually has it lives over here. Or does it? Where did I put it? I was using it. Mine we have a minute to just chit chat because this is still too warm for my yeasts and eggs. I have an Android, so mine has the audio jack and a USB jack in the bottom, so I could realistically hook up a camera and my lapel mic directly to this thing. And then it also has a camera, so that would be my second camera. So I could do a double angle with one as the phone and one as this guy. He's the easiest to move, and he already has a USB-C cable, so it would be the quickest to just jam in. Let's see, I set out a second stick of butter, not quite realizing how much I would need, and I don't think I'm going to need it, but I'm going to keep it out. Keep it over here. Yeah, I got to figure out how to put OBS on that thing. I have a track phone, so my data is what I'm worried about there. I might just completely run out of data real fast. I have to make absolutely sure that I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. Otherwise, it'll just suck up all my data. Because I don't do high data things on my phone typically. Let's get out this, which is going to be our main event in a minute here. Well, yeah, I say in a minute, in an hour here. I think we're putting all the oil in. Our project today shouldn't pollute the oil very badly, so we should be able to reclaim this oil still. You can filter and reuse fry oil several times, but certain things will leave a lot more gunk that's harder to get rid of in the fry oil, and you'll have to run it through a coffee filter. All our stuff today is going to be either dough or batter, which should only leave like potentially little blobs as opposed to debris. So hopefully we just have a slightly browned oil when we put it back in, as opposed to an oil that's full of gunk that I have to filter. But we'll find out when we get that far. So, what you doing for Donut Day, if anything at all? I know some places were giving out free donuts. The convenience store on the corner had a promotion. 1 free Long John. I did not take them up on it. Our milk is down to about 135, but that's still a little bit high. Our fry oil is going to need its frymometer. Put that there so you guys can follow along, as it varies wildly. Okie doke. Well, I'll be here for a while. We haven't even started the first rise at a half an hour. Oh my god! This is why I picked a short donut recipe, because they don't count waiting for the milk to cool down as part of the time. It is coming down, so we're close. Okay, let's slide over to the here. And in the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with your dough hook, we have neither of those things. We got these mitts and my pointy spoon. Add the warm milk, the eggs, stir till combined, and then add the remaining flour a 1/4 cup at a time until the dough is thick but slightly sticky. And then knead until smooth and elastic. 4 to 5 minutes in your powered stand mixer. We'll see how long that actually goes. Then we're going to have to grease this bowl, and we're going to put it in the oven, which has been set to very, very low. And was turned off, so it should just be generally just kind of warm in there. Okay. Start with the eggs. Keep that bowl handy. I think I can use it to... We're going to need something wider for that, I think. Let's sit for about 5 minutes, which is not accurate, until it is about 110 to 120. So it says 120 is fine. It still seems high. But I think we are below the set temperature for eggs. So we're not going to scramble the eggs. We're just running the risk of killing some yeast. What is the set temperature for eggs? egg white. Yeah, well below that. So I guess I'm just going to go for it and hope for the best. And then we start in. Get all of it combined at this point before we start adding more scoops of flour. Okay. The flour tower is handy. We're adding up to 2 more cups, but a quarter cup at a time, because I think we're supposed to know, it's one of those ones where you're supposed to know what texture you're going for and stop when you get there. I don't see any scrambled egg lumps, so I think we got away with that. I guess we'll find out about the yeast once it starts to proof. It is accepting flour quite well at this stage. Oh, this is going to be a workout. This is going to be a workout. Oh, we lost a bunch more frames. I don't get enough exercise of this particular motion. I don't do enough baking. Okay, that's the 3rd scoop. It's shifting from a batter to a dough, kind of trying to hold itself in one piece. Fourth scoop. Still much too sticky for me to use my hand. Oh yeah, barely touch it and it is glue. It's just glue. So we keep working with the spoon. Once it forms an actual dough that I can knead, will be more fun, because then I can throw it on the counter and knead it. It's just really bugging my forearm and my shoulder. Because I have to grip really hard. And also big aggressive motions. It doesn't help that the spoon is like trying to glue in place. So let's release the spoon from the center of this thing and try to get it back around scraping the edges. Where am I put that? Get that handy. Yeah. Scoop number 5. Oop. I don't trust that we're reaching the point where I can put my hands in it yet, but we're probably close-ish. Because the way it's still sticking to the spoon. And if we get underneath it, now it's getting to the point where it is incorporating quite well into a cohesive blob. There's only 5 scoops. Nope. And now it's going sticky again. I need to clean my hands a little bit because I'm going to change tabs and look at my recipe. Oh. Thick but sticky to the touch, knead on medium speed until smooth and elastic for 5 minutes. It's thick and it's sticky. I'm going to give it a little bit more flour, but in the form of dusting my worktop and rolling and turning it out. And we're going to knead it by hand over here. And that bowl is going to have to stay handy because that bowl is going to get greased, and it's going to be where we proof this thing. This is a much nicer motion on my arms than the with the spoon. I don't think I want much more flour than this. It's slightly sticky, but just slightly, and I think that's the point. That we will need the stickiness away by forming gluten, rather than by just adding a bunch more flour and drying it up. Because I think it's supposed to be soft and slightly wet. Although, it might be a little bit too wet. So we'll just, yeah, because we're sticking down a little bit too hard there. Okay. So that's another quarter cup-ish, but I eyeballed it with my hand. So including the one that's on the table, that's approximately 7 scoops. So we're just a quarter cup short of what it said. But also, as you knead it, it should smooth out as the glutens develop. Whew. Baking, well, anything with dough, is a workout, and you earn all those. Oh, we're still sticky. It's a lot of calories, but you burn those calories by making the thing in the first place. Okay, I can afford to add maybe a pinch more before I'm going over my target. So I'm not going to try. I'm going to try to avoid adding any more at this point, and just get it formed up. And we'll just do this for 5 minutes until it hopefully isn't sticky anymore. Phew. We can roll up all the little bits, clean our top. It's tacky and smooth. It feels a lot like a dough. Yep. Exciting. This is the exciting part. Possibly. Now I think the exciting part is when we get to the frying. It is getting a little bit less sticky as I keep doing this. Oh, that's a lot of work. Hello. TK, welcome, welcome. Does it look like a donut yet? I'm doing the work of a electric stand mixer by hand. I sure am earning my donut. This, I think, actually might be one of the big reasons people eat too much carbs and get fat off of too much carbs. Is because you used to have to do this at home if you wanted any of these delicious carb things. And doing this is a lot of work. So you'd have it less often, and when you did, you'd pre-burn a bunch of calories on the way. When you can just run over and buy a dozen donuts in 2 seconds, it becomes too easy. But maybe not. Maybe it's just the case of abundance in general. Okay, that's been 5 minutes of kneading. It's a dough. It's ever so slightly tacky. We're going to use a dribble of fry oil to grease up the bowl. Grease up my hands a little bit. And this guy is going, it's a beautiful dough. It's a beautiful looking dough. This guy's going right in there. We're gonna put a, wash my hand. Okay. We're going to put a sheet of plastic over the top of them. And then it's going into our warmed but off oven until doubled in size. While it is proofing, we're going to come over here to our oil. We're going to put the oil on now because I'm not distracted by kneading. And here comes to our interim, our interstitial, our thing while the dough is proofing. I'm gonna make a sandwich. A horrifying, horrifying sandwich. No, 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 we're not making 1,000 of these. Oh, and we're not pan frying them, we're deep frying it. We're making a horrifying sandwich. We're making a sandwich that probably shouldn't be made, but oh boy. Actually, before I do that, let's take off the residue. This is going to need a proper wash. We can at least get the loose bits off. Okay. Our worktop. Gotta find one of these that's actually deep fried so that I know what I'm shooting for. We have to chill the sandwich. Hopefully we don't crash my stream by opening weird things. Former. Hi. Welcome, welcome. Happy Donut Day. Oh, so we're making a basic pancake batter. I can do that. We don't need much. Wow, some of these recipe sites are just terrible. Just terrible. What's up, WeFormer? Happy Donut Day. Did you have a donut? Nice. I have not had a donut today. We're making our own. Okay, I'm getting out a couple of things. So while my donut dough is proofing, I have some time. And also, I'm going to need to make an actual dinner, not just dessert. Donuts are a dessert. To that end, and since there's fry oil almost available, the idea, and since I have some already made brioche loaf from the store, the idea is to make a Monte Cristo, except I don't have the ingredients for a Monte Cristo, but I'm using that as an inspiration. Brioche loaf. We might have to cut a slice away because there's a bit of a cavity at the bottom. From the braid. I'm not a huge donut guy. So we want to cut that to about there. To avoid that hole. And there's still going to be some hole, but less hole. That's my sandwich. That's just an extra piece of bread. I mean, what's not to love about a Monte Cristo, except the approximately billion calories, almost all of which are fat and sugar. You know, You know. We also have homemade pork and homemade strawberry jam, which are going to be in our mix as well. And cheese, which I did not home make. A lot of these recipes don't go for the full deep fry. They go for a batter pan fry in pancake batter, which makes sense, but I have a deep fry here, so that makes me want to use it. They all want to just do a pan fry with batter, which is the logical way to do it because you're less likely to have the thing explode in process. But come on. But come on. So, step one, this stuff kind of got compressed when I put it in that bag, so I gotta loosen it up a little bit so that I can recompress it when I push the sandwich together. Pan fried is definitely the safe way, and I probably should just do that. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I have the fry oil. The thing is, I wouldn't be making this sandwich if I didn't have that fry oil right there, ready to fry. I don't like my fingers. I have not used the slicer yet, no. Jay, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. We are preparing to make a mess, is what we're doing. I don't know if this jam is going to be thick enough to use the way I want to use it. This is what I did with my strawberry haul from earlier in the spring. When they started to go off, I jamified them. I feel like the jam's supposed to be in the middle. Right? So that it doesn't completely explode. Or is the jam served on the side? Am I confusing this with a different sandwich? Weeformer, you said you were familiar with this sandwich. Does the jam go inside the sandwich, or is it an on the side type deal? I'm seeing that it is potentially both, but the ones that are deep fried definitely don't have jam in the inside. So I think because we're deep frying this, we don't want to risk putting jam on the inside because we don't want to risk it exploding. So we're just going to construct this like so. And then we want to smash it together for sure. Some of these have jam on the inside as well, but they are obviously the ones that aren't fried the way I'm doing it. So that's probably the tip off, is that, and it makes sense. Jam is a bit watery, and all the rest of that stuff is not. And watery ingredients in deep fry don't really go together. So I'm going to take this, and I squished it together a bit, but we're going to chill it with a little bit of pressure on it. I know anything can be deep fried, but some things are more dangerous to deep fry because they can explode. So we're going to keep the jam on the side. Also, hi, that'll do. Welcome, welcome. Let me grab a plate. Now, I want to put some weight on it just a little bit, just to kind of make it adhere to itself slightly more. It's going in the fridge, just loose, to chill slightly while I assemble its companion, the batter, which will be something that is a big enough thing. I'm just going to do it in there because it's the easiest. We're going to do it in one size up from there. One size up from there. Put in our egg. No, I think it'll hold. I think it should hold. The batter should form a crust around the outside and hold it together. We just have to make sure that it doesn't fly apart the moment I pick it up. That's what I'm worried about. So I'm sort of pressing it to get that part. Boy, nobody wanted to give me a recipe for a good batter. So I guess we'll go with a fish batter. Yeah. Deep frying. Something wet on the inside. Fish sounds like the best thing because it's wet on the inside. Oh, no egg in this one. Too late for that. We're using an egg. And we've already had 2 blips in my stream today. No egg. Interesting. Why no egg? Crispy frying batter recipe. Egg. Okay. And this one has no milk. Well, nuts to that. Mine has milk. I know pancakes are easy, but we're not really making a pancake. We're trying to make a batter that will hold up in the deep fryer. It's a little bit different. Because the ones that called for a pancake batter were also the ones that were just doing it in a pan, which makes sense. If you're doing it in a pan, you want that pancake batter. A little whisk. Keep an eye on our heat. We're nowhere near. We got plenty of time over there. Um, 1.5 cups all-purpose flour, 3 tablespoons baking powder, 3 tablespoons sugar, 1 tablespoon salt, 2 cups half and half, 1 large egg. That's way too much. For one sandwich, that's way too much. It's probably scaled down to use 1 egg, but so I'm just kind of making up a batter. Thank you. The baking powder isn't a bad idea. The baking powder is not a real bad idea though. So let's add just a smidgen. Teaspoons, well, I'm scaling that down as well. Because that should help it get a little bit airy as it cooks. This consistency looks right though. It's like a thin, it's almost like a crepe batter. Add a pinch of this, add a pinch of that. That was salt and sugar. What do you think? A smidge more flour, or is this reasonable? We could add a non-wheat flour to enhance the crispiness. We could add like a half a scoop of potato starch or one of our other fine powdered starches. Here's the big block of chocolate I bought to potentially put chocolate on my donuts. Spoiler. I think I'm going to give it a little bit of potato starch. Which I'm going to go in with my hands. Oh, the texture on this stuff is so weird. I'm going to do with a little bit of potato starch, which will thicken it slightly, but should also enhance the way it crisps. Because it's not going to glutenize at all. And that should be the end of me adding stuff to it. I don't want to go too nuts. Unmodified potato starch. Okay. Stir that in, get it all hydrated. I don't know how much that was, probably about 2 tablespoons. Just get rid of the lumps and we should be good to go. And then we're just waiting for the oil to heat up. We should check on our donuts. They might have, in fact, risen already and can be divided out, which would speed things up down the line. And also, the oil's not quite hot yet, so I can't throw the sandwich in immediately regardless. Although I could put it in the batter here right away and let it kind of soak in. Well, I wasn't aiming for the consistency of a pancake batter, really. I was thinking for more of a runnier batter than pancake. Batter's too wet, it'll saturate the sandwich and make it soggy. So you think I need more starches, more solids to make this a bit thicker. Right? That's what you're telling me? I'm going to peek at my dough. Nut. Whoa! Well, it sure didn't take an hour to rise. That's for sure. Let me set my batter aside for the moment. Because this guy has done the thing. I haven't measured anything for that. I was just throwing stuff at it. Sort of eyeballing a consistency without making a ton that I have to throw away since I'm only making one sandwich. This guy has doubled in size for sure, so we are on course over here. Gently punch down the dough. Let's sit for 5 minutes. And then we're going to divide it into the individual donuts. Feel free to recommend stuff. I'm open to suggestions, but also recipes are just suggestions, and we tend to wing it a lot around here. So oil's at 275, so we do want to move along with the process. On a lightly floured surface, a very lightly floured surface, but this is oiled, so we might just get away with being an oiled surface. Let's get him out of there. We're supposed to kind of push this guy out, and then I don't have a puncher for it, so we're gonna make rough donuts, not nice perfect circles. Don't forget, the donuts are the main event here. I'm gonna need both sheet pans for this. And both tea towels, which are here. It's still coming up. Use a 3-inch round cutter and a 1-inch round cutter to make a donut. Do I have an orange juice can? Well, what I was gonna do was get my scraper, get my bench thingy here, divide this into our dozen donuts, and then poke my hole in it and do like old-fashioned round, old-fashioned circles instead of punch-outs. That was my plan. Been my plan from the start. I don't know if it's a good idea, but that was my idea. I have things we could use if we really wanted to do punch outs. That's probably a good size to do the middles. Although I don't know how to get it out of there. I was going to make them rough, though. I was just going to say, make them rough. I've also got a little, even smaller jar. Weaveformer wants me to do it perfectly. With cutouts and such. And such. I mean, I think so. Well, what's the issue? Hi, Mags. We're discussing how to make our donuts from a big sheet of donut into individual donuts. And I was just going to cut this and do like little circles. And Weaveformer is suggesting that I use a cup to punch out circles and then a smaller cup to punch out middles. I've never made donuts, so I don't know. Maybe I'm completely barking up the wrong tree. Where's my little measure dealie? I don't know. Oh, I know. I've got this one. I've got this one. I'm not the expert. You're the expert. Oops, don't have to punch the middles out. You don't have to make your donuts like toroids. That needs to be a little bit thinner. getting clay all over your phone. Okay, if we just do punch outs, because I could just do that with the glass. Like that. And call that a donut. It seems small, doesn't it? I suppose I suppose they are going to have another rise. So I just feel like we're going to have a bunch of dough that I'm not doing anything else with here. They will proof one more time. In fact, that's why they're going on a sheet spaced apart and underneath a tea towel. Now is our decision. Do we punch the middles out or do we leave them? I say we leave them, and I'm making that decision. Yeah, we can make the scraps can turn into other things. We're gonna do this without dropping it on the floor like we did last time. The oven is off, it's just warm. We might get more than a dozen as well, actually. Maybe not. We're running out of room to punch entire circles. No, I think we can get probably a baker's dozen. I think we can get a nice round 13. If I kind of jimmy that side a little bit and go punch. We can't get a nice perfect 13 because one of them is going to be weird regardless. I can get those two that are a little bit weird. And then I can like take these guys and I don't think that these are going to hold together very well. Maybe. I can just try putting them in between the real donuts on the thing. Okay. I just get the feeling that these little guys are going to be, they're going to fall apart when I try to fry them. That's what I feel like. And then this one probably should be 2. So that they're at least all kind of the same size-ish. Okay. Towel over the top of the other pan of good ones. Our oil is actually up to just about temp, so... And then this tray of oddballs is just a tray of oddballs. They're going to rise in a warm place somewhere else. Ugh, I don't trust that tray underneath the oven. See if I can't get just sneak in on the side there. Perfect. Okay, cool. Okay, that wasn't so bad, aside from a ferocious argument. How long do they proof for? This time, it says, until puffed, about 30 minutes. Now, the first time, it said, until doubled in size, about an hour, and it did not take an hour. So, they might poof up faster than that. Our oil, which we're going to check on them after we fry our sandwich here. We're going to want a drip pan ready to go on the side. We're going to want to get the lid out of the way because we don't need it. That guy there. And yeah, our oil is, we're gonna pick it up a smidge to get it to hit 350, and we're gonna dunk our sandwich and fry it up. So while that attempts to overshoot 350, you're gonna come over here with me. We're gonna look at this sandwich. We're gonna put it in the batter. We're gonna drip stuff all over my hands. I'm gonna remember that I need the spider for this. You're gonna be over here so that you can see it arrive, because I'm not gonna have an extra hand to switch cameras while I do this. And there she goes. Careful. Oh, I got a new emote today. Toka! Toka! Oh my god, you've rated it at the perfect time. We've just dunked our Monte Cristo in our frying oil. And are frying it. Oh my goodness, Toka, hello. Let me give a shout out. Cinnaboo, chemical. Oh my goodness. How do I do this? Hands are all gross. Oh, I always forget what numbers you have, Tokaji. 909. Well, the main event that we're cooking is donuts, which are currently rising for their second rise in my warmed oven. Because it is National Donut Day here in the US. I'm going to need this, but I'm not going to need it immediately. But donuts do not make a dinner. And thus, in between our donut adventure, I am making a I'm having a hard time flipping. A Monte Cristo sandwich. Kneecap, hi. Heart healthy lineup, yep. Deep fried and also deep fried. Multiple deep fried things. So this is a sandwich with pork and cheese in it that I have dipped in batter and am frying. We're gonna flip it at least a couple of times. I'm gonna use that. We're gonna use that plate. I almost threw that plate in the sink. And I decided to do this because I was already going to have the the fry oil on hand for the donuts, because that's how you make donuts. You fry them. Our temperature has dropped a smidge, but actually not that bad, which is quite good. Well, hopefully no. Hopefully our batter has successfully contained the guts of our sandwich. The sandwich didn't fall apart when I put it in there, so I'm quite hopeful. Anyways, Toka and Raiders, what were you doing? Let me know all about it. Welcome, welcome. I'm Jovial Jovian. Most people just call me Jovial. We cook all sorts of nonsense. I'm sure if you're fans of Toka, you've seen some of the wonderful cooking that he does. You see the lard dressing, yes. No, the accompaniment for a Monte Cristo sandwich is powdered sugar and raspberry jam. We're using strawberry because I have some homemade strawberry jam. This thing is slightly too big for my thing. We're getting a good brown on our surface though. This is a heck of a thing. So yeah, we just cut out our donuts and put them back in the warm oven to rise. And then our oil was hot, so we dunked our sandwich, and then you showed up, and that's the last couple of minutes of my life. I think I might skip glazing. Should we glaze our donuts? That's even more sugar. Someone compared donuts to bagels. Yes. Roller coaster. It's been an absolute roller coaster. So this side is looking quite well browned. The other side was a little bit pale, but it was most of the way there. So we just need to get the other side pretty well browned. I just splashed hot oil on my hand. That's not pleasant. Pardon me a second while I run it under ice cold water. Ouch. I should be flipping this away so that I should be flipping it so that if I lose it, it splashes away from me, not towards me. Well, I guess we'll find out if that is a burn. I guess we will find out if that's a burn. It happens. I am going to go ahead and say that it was just about done before I burned my hand, though. So let's fish it out of there. Let it drip over here. And we shouldn't actually need this. I should be able to get the donuts. No, I will need this because I didn't put holes in my donuts. So we'll keep that handy. It smells a bit like a fish batter, honestly, like that kind of loose batter that that sort of light, crispy batter that you put on fried fish. So that's a good sign for what I was shooting for. You lived on Monte Cristos in your late teens? How? How did you live through your late teens on Monte Cristos? This is like a once-a-year sandwich. Do I want to do a glaze? I kind of want to do a simple glaze. I gotta get the powdered sugar out regardless. Ugh. Damn, that's a growth spurt. Okay. That would have been a good idea. That would have been a good idea, Daddle Do. We can't do that now. But that would have been a good idea. That's basically what we did when we made the bow last week. I gave them each their own little parchment square so that I could get them out of the steamer individually instead of having them all be stuck on a big sheet. That would have been a good idea here. I'm going to do a glaze. I just feel like it's a thing I want to do. We're going to turn our oil temperature down a little bit because now we're overshooting slightly. Although you want it to be 75 for donuts. So maybe we're not overshooting that much, but still don't want to overshoot it too much. Fortunately, this recipe I've got pulled up from CompletelyDelicious.com also has a recipe for a glaze, which is very simple. So we will just do that. We'll slide you over here. I'm letting the Monte Cristo cool off a little bit. I also need to open this because we need to put powdered sugar on the sandwich, which is, I don't know. And we're gonna find a new container to put this sugar in now that I've pierced this bag, so I'm just gonna cut the whole top off. I feel like I can cut this recipe in half. I don't need that much glaze. We might leave some of them unglazed. I don't have a dry measuring scoop. The only one I have is the one that has flour on it, which might be okay, but it needs to be a very dry scoop for powdered sugar. Keep that handy. And the amount of milk you add to make a glaze is so tiny. We're not doing a vanilla glaze. We're going to do a pandan glaze. Which will also be green. Set this down somewhere that it won't make a mess. We did pandan the other day and I quite liked how it worked out, so we're doing it again. Okay, that's 1 tablespoon of milk, and I'm going to whisk it in and see what it looks like. Because it's amazing how powdered sugar behaves in the presence of liquids. Just how much of itself it can get in there. Okay, it's a little bit too thick, so I'm going to add another douche. Maybe not even a full. Maybe just a smidge. Okay. That's the glaze. We're probably not going to glaze all of them, we're going to glaze some of them. And I have another rack as well. Definitely got a little burn on my hand. Faux show got a little burn on my hand. I have another rack identical to that one, so we can probably swap them out, move one of them over the sink once it's full, so we can put the first one, or put the new one in. I just need to make sure I have space and room to do that. Nothing interrupting me. That should, yeah, a rack sits neatly over the sink perfectly. Our sandwich is not burning hot to the touch. Nicely browned on both sides. Let's bring it over here. We're going to put extra bottles of oil away. They were only gotten out because they were in the way, and they're once again in the way. Keep that handy there. Our oil is too hot. We have to start frying stuff or turn the oil down. How do these guys look? They've poofed a little bit. They haven't poofed a ton. I'm not sure what we're looking for in terms of how much they need to have poofed. Anyway, I'm going to let them poof a little bit more. And while they are doing that, let's get inside this sandwich. No cheese pull. Oh, I got flours and sugars and oh, it smells good now that I cut it open. Okay. I will keep that sifter handy. We could potentially dust some of our donuts. And the finishing touch which we're going to kind of drape down the front a little bit here. Ta-da! This complete nonsense absurd sandwich that I can't believe humans, well, I can believe humans invented this. Humans, they do stupid things. Let's go take a picture of this. And then I can nibble on this while we fry our donuts. And then the donuts can be our main event. And then the donuts can be our main event. I'll let you know how this batter turned out. Because our oil is hot, ready to go. We're going to have to do that pretty much now. So let me taste this first without the jam. Don't inhale when you're taking a bite. It has powdered sugar on it. Mmm. It's not so much crispy as it is chewy, kind of like a pancake actually. But it's really good, guys. It's cheesy, meaty, sweet, bready. It's actually not very greasy, which means we had a good hot fry and didn't, our oil temperature didn't drop. We didn't lose our fry. I mean, there's not a ton to say about it. Let's taste it with the jam, which always seems like a strange idea to me, but it's what you're supposed to do. It's like a dessert filled with meat. It's such a weird thing. It's super delicious, but it's such a weird thing. Okay, well, I'll keep nibbling on that. I don't have a lot of words to say about it this time around because it is pretty much exactly what you think it is. And what that is just really tasty. We're not really doing flavor experiments today. We're doing technique experiments. See, I need to get out one of the donut trays. So if we pull our donut tray out, you can see my temperature is a little bit above 375 on the thing there. They have poofed. They're definitely larger than they were. Do you think that's poofed enough? That's the question. Is that enough of a poof up? This was the first tray to go in, so these are the ones that are going to be the furthest along. Although by the time we get through these, the other ones will have had more time. I want to say that they're good. So I guess I'm just going to start throwing them in. And we're going to find out together. It's doing something. That powdered sugar really wants to get up your throat. I think we could fit 2 in there. And also we should fit 2 in there because we need to drop that oil temp a little bit. So, what's everyone else doing today on this, the nuttiest of dough days? Whoa, our oil is too hot. I think our oil might be a smidge too hot. Where did I put that? Oh, it's still in the jam. Need my jam spoon for my sandwich. Also, how's my connection? Did I drop any more frames? It looks like it's been stable. Wow, these two behaved very differently from each other. I wonder why. This one just ballooned. If we wanted to fill one, it would be that guy. But I have to say, they look like they're not going to last much longer, so let's get them both out of there. Okay. Reformers sculpting tiny charms. Sounds good? Once they're cool enough to touch, we'll dip a couple of them in our pandan goo. I think the reason that these went differently is because I put this one in dry side down, and I put this one in dry side up, and I put both of these in dry side up, and they're not just turning into an immediate balloon. And I think that is a key difference. The dry side is the side that was facing up when I was proofing them. I probably shouldn't fry all of them immediately. I probably should test. Our oil temperature is coming down a little bit, which is good. I probably should test some of them to make sure we're on the right track. They certainly don't look like they take very long. You could probably fit 3 in there, but I'm not going to risk that. Honestly, this is the chillest I've ever done deep frying here in the kitchen. I think our oil is too hot, and I think our oil is a little bit too hot, and especially those first ones were even darker. I also might be leaving them a little bit too long, but it feels like they're going really fast. But I don't know. We don't want our oil to. We want to maintain our oil temp is the thing. I think when I put the first ones in, they were too hot, and I think they might have come down too far. We're looking at about 360 and no 355. We're falling at the moment. I wouldn't mind them being a little bit like brown and crispy. But yeah, they do seem a scooch dark. Maybe I will attempt to fry the next ones slightly faster, like flip them sooner. We could also test them. Tell you what, we're gonna do 2 more. And I'm just going to not let them sit around as long, and we're gonna flip them when they're a little bit younger. Because I can kind of see the bottoms when they're in there like this. So we're just keep an eye on them. But as usual, I guess we're learning as we go around here. So this guy's already looking golden brown around the edge. So I'm going to flip him. And then we'll flip that guy. Yeah, I think I was just letting him float too long. I think we were just letting him float around a little bit too long. I keep running out of spaces to put stuff. Although, I hope the interiors are cooked. How are you? Are you pick-upable? Only just. This one went real weird. This one went real weird, for sure. Okay, I guess that's as long as they take, because they look pretty good. I don't know, they don't look that much less brown. There's a slight difference. I'm not sure. Let's get out another tray. See, now our oil temp is way down. Those look more like they've, what I would call, poofed. Throw those things in, see what they, how they think. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I thought these were gonna do. Is sort of unroll because they were rolled up. That's fine. Ah, that's fine, I guess. We should, if this guy is handleable, which he is, we should give him his glazed top. Ooh, that one's too hot. They're a little bit too hot for the glaze. Mmm. Keep eating my sandwich. Why did I just wipe my, well, guess we're throwing that in the laundry. These little guys are sure different. Oops. Small enough to pick up with the chopsticks directly. And our oil temp keeps falling. Which might be good. I might be overheating them. And thus they're frying too fast. I kind of want to split the first one, the very first one. Oh, it's so light and airy. I kind of want to split the very first one open, partly because it's turned into a bit of a balloon, partly just to test if the interiors are getting done. So let's slide over here, set those nuts aside. grab my, let's do it right here. It's just a balloon. The dough is cooked. Light, airy. Kind of bready. Needs something. Well, we're learning. What makes it not a donut? Be specific. I've never made donuts before. I know they're not like the store-bought ones. They sure taste like donuts. Get this guy out of here. And I'm not offended by me having done something wrong. I'd rather learn from my mistakes. Because from my perspective, they're not everything I had envisioned when I started. But I don't think they're like offending me at all. They're just kind of a little weird. Okay, well, telling me it's not a donut and then no follow-up does not help me learn at all. So, unless you have some advice at this stage that would change what we're making, we're going to carry forth and make more of these. Let my oil come up a little bit before I put the next batch in. I followed a recipe. I followed a donut recipe. I can show you the one I followed. I followed this donut recipe. Well, it's only a learning experience if I learn something. That first one had a little bit of a balloon in the middle. I don't think the other ones are going to have a balloon. That one was very balloony by comparison to most of them, which is why it was the one I tore open first. Well, that link is the recipe, and I followed that recipe to the letter. I could try to make them less dark by frying them less. That seems to be the main objection. So we'll throw this one in. I want to learn. I'm not trying to attack, but, you know, I would like to learn. Because too dark and crust too thick both sounds like you fried it too long. Which is definitely a possibility. We have a bunch more to work with. There. Nicer color. We'll do these two. And we will see how they are on the inside. They certainly don't take very long to fry to this level of doneness on the outside. My concern would be that they're not quite getting it all the way to the middle, but if the oil's hot enough, that shouldn't be an issue. And yes, there's milk in there for sure. There's we start the very first things we did is we put milk, warmed milk and butter and eggs into our dough. And I know that yes, and sugar. Sugar and eggs and milk all brown quite aggressively. And I did pick a recipe that specifically was on the shorter side because I did not want to be here for 3 hours just proofing and reproofing donuts. Although we might be closing in on that regardless. I can also just flip them more often and keep an eye on the bottoms. I'm frying all of these, even the really dark ones, much less than the recipe called for. Like massively less than the recipe called for. Which said 2 minutes on a side, which would definitely burn the heck out of these things. Well, I appreciate your insight. I am always willing to hear from people with more experience on the subject than myself. Yeah, the recipe here, if you go to the bottom, it's fry in small batches until golden brown, about 2 minutes on each side, which would have just burned these to a crisp. We're getting closer to a minute total. Get this, these funny shaped ones. So maybe it's a problem with the recipe. Maybe it's a problem with this specific recipe I chose. They sure taste good. It's not like they're anything wrong with the flavors of them. Okay, and for these little guys, I know they're not coming out properly because they kind of unwind when you fry them. So we're just going to fry them up, and they're going to be little snackers. I'm always willing to try things again as well. Obviously, the dough's been made. We can't go back to the start and try the dough over this time. At least these little guys are easy to pick up with the chopsticks, so I don't have to get the spider involved. I can just pinch them out. I mean, it could be lots of things. I don't have a stand mixer, so it was all hand kneading. But I'm pretty good at eyeballing a dough when it's done. Oh, underproofed. That's possible. When I pulled them out, I wasn't sure if they had poofed up enough, but our oil was blazing hot, so I decided to soldier forth. We will split open another one and do a proper look at the inside, and we can do a little bit of a post-mortem on them. They feel very delicate when I'm handling them with my hands. If that's anything. Ooh, that one does not want to. That's a problem. That's a problem. Those two are a problem. They don't want to flip over. The issue is I don't. They poofed up. They had gotten bigger in the proofing, and I just assumed that that was good because that's all I was asked to look for was have they poofed up. These guys are problems. That one's probably good enough. Okay, well, we are done with the hot oil. I only burned myself a little bit. You can see that it's a burn right there. Right. It's out of focus, but right there, we're going to have a little blister probably. That's unfortunate. Didn't want that to happen. Let's grab one of our slightly older ones. And I think that that first one I tore open was not representative. So we're going to take one of these naked ones from the first batch with a knife and see what we got. What do you think? Is that a donut? It's cooked through the middle. It bounced back up after I cut it, even though I cut it with a straight-edged knife. I don't know. I think that first one was just not representative. I think that first, because I put that first one in upside down, and the bottom ballooned out. Whereas the other ones, I all was very careful to put them in right side up. So the side that they had been resting on stayed down. That first one was upside down, so it developed that big weird balloon. They still fried way less time than the recipe called for. Even these darkest ones, even the absolute darkest ones I got here, were about half the time that it called for. So I don't know what that part of the recipe was going for. I'm glad I didn't just trust that it was right and mindlessly fry them for 4 minutes and have them just be nothing. This one looks like a donut, other than the fact that it's plain. It's a plain donut. Which we can fix. I think that most of them are going to be, because that first one, I noticed immediately when that first one I put it in, it turned into like a sphere. It didn't stay flat. It just ballooned into a sphere. let's, I want to decorate a few of them. So, and then I fried the next ones a little bit less so they would be a little bit less dark brown. But we can before they completely cool off, we can get some powdered sugar on some of them. I can dip that one in my glaze before the glaze goes completely off. Drippy. You guys are not looking at any of the things I'm doing. Fillings. I haven't prepared any fillings. They're just kind of naked donuts, which is why I'm putting stuff on top of them. The only thing I've got ready to go is strawberry jam. Honestly, I wasn't planning on filling them at all. I was initially planning on making rings. You guys are over there now. I was initially planning on making rings. I was going to take each of these guys and put my thumb through the middle. And I was talked out of that plan. Oh. Well, what do we got? We've got a... I have a piping bag and a piping tip that I have never used because I'm afraid of these things. But I suppose if I'm gonna use it, now's the time. I mean, what I have is a jar of homemade strawberry jam. Strawberry preserves, I should say. It's very chunky. I'm looking around my kitchen and we have another one of those made a mess days. Okay, how do you use one of these things? Use the tip and a plastic bag if I don't want to clean the bag. Okay, well, I've got the tip. There's the tip. Okay, but how do I use one of these? Don't you be like, oh, it's easy, we do it all the time. I have this. I have this little thing. And no instructions. It came like this. Am I missing a piece? Is that the problem? Is that why I can't understand how it's supposed to work? I don't use it because I don't understand how it's supposed to work. So I'm missing stuff. All I've got is a ring and I'm missing parts. That's the consensus. And Ryu, yeah, I don't know. It didn't come with instructions. I also didn't buy it. It was given to me. So this is all we have. It's a Winco plastic coated piping bag. Pastry bag. And a little metal tip. I'm missing a collar and a ring. Okay, so I'm missing parts. That's why I can't figure out how this is supposed to work, because we don't have all the parts. Gotcha. Okay, so then I put jam in a plastic bag. This is the hardest thing. You put the bag inside a glass, the top rolled back. Well, congratulations. We've ventured into the territory where I am not comfortable, and the people in chat are. We have departed my comfort area. Well, the glass was for putting jam in the bag so that I didn't have to hold the bag. It's a runny jam as well, so this is going to be a mess. Okay, so like so. Snip the tip, stick it in the hole that I pre-poke in these guys, and squeeze some goop in there, right? That's all we need. Okay. The jam has pieces in it because it's more of a preserves than a jam. I don't know how many of these we're gonna. What the heck? Wow, I can't cut this? What the heck is happening? Getting a bigger scissors. It just wouldn't bite. The scissors just wouldn't bite there. Okay. I'm gonna tension with my teeth. Cut. The heck is happening? Oh my God. It's because this plastic just deforms. I can't get any tension on it. We're gonna have to use the knife on the board. Although now I've got a cut at a weird spot. On this thing. Oh. Why are you so tough, plastic bag? Oh my God. Trying to do it no-handed was the problem. And now my hole is enormous. Ugh. It cuts once I can get some tension on it. The hole's too big. Yeah. There's no way that's going in. There is no way that stuff is going in there. There is no way I'm getting that in there without it just being a mess. The hole is much too large. Put it in another bag. This time it's a sandwich bag instead of a freezer bag. So the plastic should be thinner. I don't have a way to cut this with the stuff in it without it gooshing. Because there's no tension on it. I can make it cut if I just do it like this. There, we got one. This is a mess, and oh my God. I have scissors. The problem is not the scissors. The problem is that I can't cut it while I'm holding it. If it's a smaller hole, the chunks of strawberry aren't going to come out. The rest of this is going back in the jar. Again, this isn't like a smooth jam. I just cubed up some strawberries and cooked them together. Okay, I'm getting a little frustrated with that, and we're going to stop because I'm just going to destroy some more donuts in the process of trying to get it right. And we're already pushing 3 hours. So let's end on a positive note instead of a mess. Grab a plate. Let's go with a square plate. This stuff is a combination of very chunky and also like runny, and I'm pretty sure it is not the right choice for filling a donut. I think you want something that's more like the consistency of a like jelly. Something that'll sort of more hold its shape, or like a thick custard, or like instant pudding. That feels like the consistency you want, because then you can get it in there, but you're not fighting against it just being soup all the time. If you like the murder scene, we can I'm going to take a picture of the murder scene, but then I'm going to make a nice plate of them. Those knives in there. But see, lemon curd also is much thicker than what I'm working with here. This stuff is like, it's like strawberries in syrup. Okay, okay, we're moving on. The glazed ones, since there's a murder scene over there, we're going to assemble the plate over here. These glazed ones have actually worked great. The glaze is glossy, smooth. I'm glad I did a glaze, so they're not just naked donuts. Get our murder scene, that one, and our murder scene, this one. That's 8 donuts. We don't have our dozen. We actually have a full dozen that can be presented, though. So I can just kind of load them up a little bit. That guy got a spot of... good enough. And then we've got all these little donut eyes, which are cooked through. They just taste like little dough balls. Let's go take a photo, and then I'm going to eat at least 2 of these and talk about them. I just had my phone because I just took a picture of something in this room. There it is. Got it. Okay, okay. No, we're having fun. We're not frustrated. We're having fun. Okay. Let's just be over here. Okay. Time for 3-hour mark. This has been a little bit of a long one. Let's do the official tasting with one of our glazed guys. I got a little bit of a balloon on that one. We might have been able to pick and choose and find ones that naturally had a little bit of a balloon in them and aim for those balloons for filling. Although I'm... No, you're fine. You're good. You're good. You were only trying to help. And I cannot fault you for that. The glaze you can see is a. Can you see? I can't. I'm usually right next to the camera when I'm doing this. The glaze is crackling. We got a nice sheen of glaze on the outside. It's a nice sort of delicate. The pandan really comes through. It's sweet, but the pandan really comes through. So it's this delicate vanilla-y flavor. They're chewy. Having some sugar on the top for sure makes it. The plain one that I had initially was very plain. It needs some kind of a topping. We can't just leave them naked. But honestly, as we saw with the one that I cut in half as a tester, this guy, aside from that first one, I don't think we got any big, weird, crazy balloons. And I think that they look only faintly green. They're definitely green. But only like pale green. Remember, there's only a dash of pandan in there. You can really taste it though. I think frying them for a shorter time was good. I think some of those first ones were in there just too long and got burnt a little bit. Well, not burnt, but just like extra toasty. They have a decent, actually, like just very fine, delicate crispiness on the outside, which I'm sure will not last more than half an hour. It's thin to the point where it's just going to get soggy in ambient humidity. No, the pandan definitely you can super taste it. It also might be just that camera because the drips in this back pan are definitely green and they kind of look very washed out on the camera here. If I do swapsies here and slide one over, this one should have better color. Can you see the green? It's not very dark, but it's nice little shine on the top. Yeah, it's a very light green tint. It's not like it's an intense. Okay, I said I was going to eat 2 of these. Let's have the WeFormer special. That's this one, the one that we made a bloody mess. Heck, I'll bring it over to the bloody mess land. Well, I got it up in there. So after all that effort, I did in fact fill a jelly donut. For as frustrating as it was and how much I did not want to do it, I have to admit, the one with the strawberry in it is much tastier than the one with just the pandan stuff on top. Is it worth the headache of doing it with a plastic sandwich bag? Probably not. I could probably just have my strawberry jelly on the side and do like a little dippy. That's probably what I'll do. It's really good. I don't like the powdered sugar. I also didn't like the powdered sugar on the Monte Cristo. In both cases, I think this is a bad use of powdered sugar. Aside from that, so this should have just been a sugar glaze. I don't like it because it's powdery and I keep inhaling it and then I choke just as there's food getting in my mouth, which is not a good thing. Not a good time. Flavor is really nice though. They taste like donut. They might taste just a tiny bit oily, and I bet you that's because I lost control of my temperature for a little while there. So some of them would have been frying too low, and some of them would have been frying too high, and the ones that were too low would take on a little bit extra oil. The flavor works really well. The strawberry jam is super complimentary and makes it much more like a pastry. I just don't want the hassle of having to fill it, and I don't know that. Like, I'm just gonna use a spoon and put some. Yeah, cut it in half and fill it with a spoon. Exactly. I'm gonna cut it in half and fill it with a spoon instead of trying to pipe in the filling. Boy, we made a mess. I'm gonna have to really clean this up too, because some of this mess is powdered sugar, and that's gonna attract ants. I'm sure it would be a lot easier with the pastry tip, also because the pastry tip is rigid, so I wouldn't have to be fighting with a soft plastic point, trying to get it in there. I don't know that I'm going to be coming back to doing donuts, though. I'm not a huge donut guy. I'm doing it for the day because it's donut day, so the next time I have donuts might be a year from today. Just because I'm not a huge donut guy in general. Well, it has been a roller coaster of emotions today. It has been a roller coaster of emotions today. But I think we are at the end of all things. A skill I can use on cupcakes. It's a skill I could use on manicotti. Or those fried Italian dessert tubes that are called cannoli. That's it. I'm more likely to make something like that than donuts in the future. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to get started on cleaning up this mess because it's a mess. And like I said, a lot of it is sugar. So if I don't clean it up, we're going to be up to our eyeballs in ants because they are for sure going to find this. And also it's been over 3 hours. So we are going to wrap it here. Thank you so much for sticking with me over today's nonsense. It sure was an unusual one. I'm glad I picked a donut recipe that only takes an hour and a half, which we stretched out into 3 hours and a quarter, as opposed to the one from King Arthur Flour, which is probably a fine recipe, but the baseline time for it is 3 hours, so we would be here for a good 5, probably. We might come back to this. I got some windows open to get that fry oil smell out, which is another reason I was willing to fry stuff today, is because it was a very nice day and I could throw some windows open so that the house doesn't smell like fry oil. Yes, we could do the movie magic, the TV magic. I've had one in the cupboard the whole time thing. I don't like to do that. I did that one time with ice cream because I wanted to do ice cream, but it takes 4 hours to freeze the ice cream. So I made 2 batches and I made one and then I swapped it out. So we had ice cream. So I have done that one time. I also might just do the dough, like the initial dough, and have it be proofing before I start so that when we get to this point, I can just sort of skip to the shaping and frying sections if we want to do something like this in the future. Just because that took up a lot of time and I had to find something to fill time, which is why I made the sandwich. I had to find something to fill time in between there. And I've done that a few times as well, where I've had to prep something, especially like a marinade. And then when we made baguettes, I had to start that the day ahead. There are some things where there's a long lead up that could just be... I could do a time lapse. That's an idea. We former sculpted 4 things. Let's see who's on at this late hour. Oh my God, they changed the raid panel. Disgusting. Well, that's a nightmare. True nightmare right there. They changed the raid panel. I guess I'm raiding manually? How long has Jim been on? An hour. Almost 2 hours. I'm gonna drop us off with Jim. If you haven't seen it yet, I just saw it. They have changed the raid panel. It no longer gives you a list of your followed channels. It gave me a list of other channels in the category I am in with similarly sized viewer counts. Which is not what I was expecting. We can get rid of same category. No, we can't. Following. Oh, okay. No, I can pull up Jim's page from here. Okay. So there's filters on it. Okay. There's a search and a filter on the raid panel, and it shows you previews of a variety of channels, stills, but it shows you the thumbnails now instead of just the people's names. Okay. No, it's not as bad as I thought. It's just very, very, very different. I'll probably get used to it. I'll probably get used to it because it has filtering options now. And the default is just what I said initially, which is same category, similarly sized channel, which would not be helpful, but okay. But why? Oh. Oh. Oh, that's weird. That's weird. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this. It automatically opened up the stream preview which is normally I don't open up. It still covers the entire screen. If I close this, does it cancel the raid? No. Okay, that's an improvement. It doesn't cancel the raid when I close the window. Okay, that's going to take some getting used to, but I think I'll get used to it and not hate it eventually. I burned up half my countdown. We're rating Jim. Jim is playing a game about crabs. We're going to go tell him that we made donuts and that they were a smashing success. Or perhaps we're going to tell him that there was a bunch of carnage and it was a horrible mess. Perhaps both. I will be back Monday. See you then, I guess. Bye. And then we push stop.